Today's episode of the Watson Weekly Podcast is sponsored by Commercetools.
The world of commerce is fast-paced and constantly changing. Commercetools, the global leader in commerce and creator of the powerfully composable mock architecture, enables commerce leaders to turn possibilities into reality. Commercetools helps businesses go from underperforming to overachieving, and from keeping up to setting the pace, all at a lower total cost. Go to commercetools.com to learn how to get started.
It's July 22nd, 2024, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Today on our show, Amazon Prime Day expected to hit records in 2024. Commercetools announces CEO transition. The importance of reputation in e-commerce. And e-commerce sales will hit $1 trillion this year. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains 5 items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, Amazon Prime Day expected to hit records in 2024. It seems like Amazon's made-up Prime Day holiday has worked out just fine. Perhaps this should give other retailers courage to make up their own holidays. The very middle of the summer is usually a slow online retail time, after Father's Day and graduations and before back to school. There is absolutely no reason to buy, other than the stuff is there and kind of on sale. Maybe that's always enough reason to buy. 10 Prime Days ago, as part of Amazon's 20th anniversary, Jeff Bezos was looking for something to reward Prime members and attract new subscribers. And attract it has. In 2015, Amazon had 50 million members. Now, something closer to 170 million members. Quite a run. Speaking of, what was your first Amazon purchase ever? Mine was July 21st, 1999, a technical book called XML IE5. Yeah, I don't know if I would remember it either. My, how the world has changed. Amazon really has not. In fact, Amazon seems more consistently run over the years than many things in life. Politics, anyone? Speaking of consistency, it's funny how people can say eBay's user interface has not changed in 25 years as a bad thing and says the same thing about Amazon as a good thing. Of course, Amazon's user interface has evolved significantly and seems to add new widgets each month sometimes, but that's different than real change. The basic consumer experience and function has largely remained the same. Long live consistency of purpose in customer experiences. Our second story. Commercetools announces CEO transition. This week, Dirk Horig and Commercetools announced that Dirk would be stepping down from the CEO role and into an innovation officer role. This is a second major e-commerce platform. The first was BigCommerce to make major leadership changes in the last year. Now, Andrew Burton is the new CEO of Commercetools, but who's Andrew Burton? First, he's a first-time CEO, so this is an expansion or step-up role. It's interesting to note that he has a product management background for all the PMs in the room. He served as the president and COO of Rapid7, a security firm, in a significant growth period from 2015 to 2024. Andrew is based in Boston, Massachusetts, and not in Europe like the previous CEO of Commercetools, and he has significant experience at a public company. What does this mean to me? Rapid7 completed and integrated several acquisitions during Andrew's time there, and I expect this was a gap in Commercetools' skill set, despite its acquisition of Frontastic a couple years back. While Commercetools can continue growing organically, inorganic growth is likely a key part of the strategy going forward. And having another set of product-oriented eyes in the room combined with the operational experience to integrate those acquisitions was considered important. Rapid7 has a reasonable history as a public company. Not fantastic, i.e. it's no Amazon or Shopify, but not terrible either. In other words, BigCommerce started as a $6.8 billion market cap and is now at about $560 million. Rapid7's market cap currently is now at $2.4 billion, which is above its IPO market cap of $900 million in July 2015, but clearly off its COVID high, of course, like many people, of $7 billion. The United States is now clearly the priority market for Commercetools. And given that Commercetools has been expanding into other verticals like telco, automotive, and healthcare, I would expect this kind of expansion to continue given the choice of a non-retail e-commerce oriented leader. For Commercetools, expanding outside of retail continues to be a smart and comparatively blue ocean direction in comparison to the other 10, and growing, it seems, e-commerce platforms chasing the same deals at a perceived upmarket position of Shopify. But the risks, always the risks. Changing a CEO is fraught with challenges. You can just as easily pick a Steve Ballmer or John Scully as a Satya Nadella, or dare I say too early, Andy Jassy. It's hard. Usually you know within 60 days if it's going to work out. Hello, Flexport, Dave Clark's education tour. Blending European and American cultures is famously difficult while moving swiftly in the American direction, but Commercetools is also not new to this and has been navigating this transition for several years. In terms of inorganic growth, acquiring the right company is hard. Integrating any company is harder, and delivering value from that acquisition is nigh impossible. The company needs to place significant needle-moving bets to move from 150 million ARR today to the next major milestone, or 500 million annual recurring revenue. I do expect Commercetools to use its investors to place some bets. And I wish Commercetools the best on its next journey chapter. Our third story, the importance of reputation in e-commerce. How did you get into e-commerce, and why reputation travels? Last week on LinkedIn, I wrote a post which went crazy in terms of the comments it received, and so I wanted to be able to bring this content to the pod as well. It's interesting to me that this is one of the most common questions, how did you get into e-commerce, I hear bandied about as an intro at trade shows and anywhere else, but I don't hear it talked about too much on podcasts or on LinkedIn. My background personally is in software development, and I happened to finish college around the time the internet was starting to be commercialized and the search engine wars were still in effect. eBay and Meg Whitman were king of the world. I joined a company called AuctionRover.com in 1999, which would then later become ChannelAdvisor, amazingly at a time when hundreds of auction sites were there to choose from when buying merchandise, as everyone was trying to copy eBay. It didn't have to be e-commerce that I fell into. I just wanted to be in an industry that was growing, changes regularly, and had complex problems to solve. Check, check, check. I almost joined Microsoft instead, but I'm glad I chose Scott Wingo and Aris Bonavicius and an e-commerce company. If you're new to e-commerce and wondering how to get along in the industry, here are a few facts that I've taken from my journey. First, you aren't at conferences for the leads, you're there for the relationships. And the important referral you get may not be now. It could be 10 or in some of my cases 20 or even 25 years from now. Sorry, marketing spend allocators. Figure out the last touch of that attribution strategy. Also, if you don't like the software vendors out there right now, just wait 5 years. There will be another batch soon enough. Incumbents beware. You rely on reputation, but those paying attention know the deal. Especially if you're new to e-commerce in the last 5 or 6 years, you may not fully appreciate this fact. Also, if you don't think people will reference check you literally while you are in the middle of a sales pitch, you haven't been in the industry long enough. Everybody knows everyone else. The e-commerce industry is an echo chamber, and reputation travels. And our last story. E-commerce sales to hit $1 trillion this year. Is this what a recession looks like? FTI Consulting report claims e-commerce will grow 9.8% this year, but a few other elements were in the report also. E-commerce has captured 46% of total U.S. retail sales growth in 2023 and 57% in Q1 of 2024. Not bad when you consider the fact that e-commerce is only 22% of total retail sales, right? Hardly a time to bet against e-commerce. Temu, Shein, and TikTok Shop, or TST, are mentioned as outside winners. In fact, this jibes with another recent report I've read. Jungle Scout's Q2 2024 report, which stated that Amazon's share of first search declined for the first time in my memory from 61% in 2022 to 52% today. Time for Amazon to pull the panic button? Hardly. Their growth doesn't seem affected, but leading indicators are important to pay attention to. What does all this mean? There are plenty of businesses that are growing just fine, thank you, and at the same time, despite sales growth, consumers are trading down, and the outsized victories are going to those who help consumers trade down. The report from FTI Consulting mentions value-based apparel and store-based home retailers as under attack from the TST triple threat. Hello, Macy's? If you can get a better value from your real estate, may not be a terrible time to add to your balance sheet. If your sales erode, you might wish that you had that buffer on your balance sheet. In other news, in a recent note, Howard Marks from Oak Tree Capital gave a brilliant quote from John Kenneth Galbraith that I hadn't heard before. There are two kinds of forecasters, those who don't know and those who don't know they don't know. WTF economy indeed. Though in this case, WTF does not stand for what the fuck. Instead, in terms of 2025, it stands for something far more complicated. What's the forecast? Cue shrug emoji. It's that time, friends, for our Investor Minute. We have 5 items on the menu today. First, procurement negotiation platform Pactum raises $20 million Series B. Procurement negotiation platform Pactum raised a $20 million Series B funding round, which will be investing in marketing and technology. Autonomous robot to robot negotiation? What could possibly go wrong? Second, cotton-based disposable diaper brand Kudos raises $3 million in seed extension funding. The cotton-based disposable diaper brand Kudos has raised $3 million in seed extension funding, which will be invested in marketing to grow its customer base. Will more consumables be redesigned without plastics? Congratulations, Kudos. You're one of the few companies that investors are deciding to keep their seed going. Third, FreightMate raises $650,000 in pre-seed funding. Freight document automation platform FreightMate has raised $650,000 in pre-seed funding. Seattle? Check. Logistics startup? Check. Freight-oriented? Check. Have we not seen this movie before? Asking for a friend. Fourth, CEOs depart aggregator Seller X after taking $14 million. European Amazon aggregator Seller X has a new CEO, Jeremy Bell, from July 1st, 2024. Bell is a co-founder of Elevate, an aggregator it acquired in 2023. Listen to this, folks. Seller X's previous co-CEOs, first clue, departed after taking $7.1 million each for themselves in November 2021, months before layoffs. Ouch. And finally, Boxed Up e-commerce SaaS for equipment rental companies raises $2.8 million in seed funding. Boxed Up, an online reservation SaaS solution for equipment rental companies, has raised $2.8 million, which will be used to hire talent. This is definitely an interesting company and business founded by former Amazonians. And today's final word of the week for July 22nd, 2024 is spreadsheet. What do you mean spreadsheet, Rick? Well, here we go. Does it seem to anyone else like over the last 10 years that anything every single person had to do in the universe that had to do with a spreadsheet one time has turned into a venture capital, investable, software as a service startup? Because if I'm using a spreadsheet for this, maybe other people have this problem and this can be an automated. Hot damn, now I'm a software platform. Survey says, bah. Sometime long ago in a land far away, venture capital was for true moonshots. Things that could shake up the world. Somewhere along the way, we turned VC into a way for old Stanford grads to live a lifestyle they could brag about to their friends without doing any actual work. Sometimes a spreadsheet is good enough, people. It really is. Please do better. Did you know that RMW Commerce has a brand new podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively take each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host, Jess Liseski, and an interesting array of guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and we're coming back in August. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly Podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. Our production partner for this series is Citizen Race Car. The show is produced by Jose Baez, production manager Gabriela Montequin. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/WatsonWeekly and wherever you get your podcasts.